HIMS.com/JOY.
The Rick and Bubba Show, weekdays, noon till 2 on WGNS.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.
The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome into the Wednesday Roundtable here on WGNS. Chip Walters with you from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates, and the Blue Raider Network, and glad to have you with us on this Wednesday. And, it seems like I start every one of these shows by saying something like, hey, it's great to have an old friend back on the show. And today, hey, it's great to have an old friend back on the show, Whit Turnbow, who is the president of the Tennessee Golf Foundation, former Blue Raider golfer, Blue Raider golf coach, associate AD, and we just don't see as much of each other as we used to, or as much as I would like to. So it's good to see you.
I miss you, Chip. We were just reminiscing about the old Raiders Choice Awards out in the hallway that I think is tonight or tomorrow night, and how that thing got started. I miss a lot of the people over there. I don't get to see them as much as I do driving to Franklin every day. But, that place is special to me, and you are too, and I appreciate you having me.
Well, speaking of the Raiders' Choice Awards, if you are not going to be there in person tomorrow night at Tucker Theater, you can watch them live on the Blue Raider Athletics Facebook page, the YouTube channel as well, or on GoBlueRaiders.com. So you can catch it up at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Today we're talking golf with Whit, the Tennessee Golf Foundation president, and I guess the first thing is to kind of make a distinction. When people think Tennessee Golf Association, they may hear that, or Tennessee section of the PGA and Tennessee Golf Foundation. How are those pieces related, and how do they interlock?
Yes, great question, and one that I get quite often. But ultimately, we have a very unique situation here in Tennessee, which is, quite frankly, the envy of the country. It's not done this way anywhere else. And so you have essentially a three-legged stool where you have the amateur body, which is the Tennessee Golf Association. You have the professional body, which is and the amateur body takes care of our, almost 40,000 people that play golf that have a handicap. The Tennessee Section PGA is a representative of our 400-plus PGA professionals that work and take care of these golf courses and things like that, and take care in building and growing the game. And then you have a foundation that's a separate entity that really is in charge. The easiest way to describe it is being the caretaker of the game. The game, golf can be quite exclusive, expensive, hard to find, and it's just a hard game in general to learn to play. And our job every day is to just pick away at those things, make sure the game is affordable, make sure it's accessible, make sure that if someone has any desire to be a part of the game in any way, that we provide those opportunities and those entry points for folks to learn the game. And like I said, it's a unique situation that several states over the years have tried to copy. I get a lot of calls from different states about how we put this together. So working Allison Brown, the executive director of the Tennessee Golf Association, and Clayton Ramadka, who is the executive director of the Tennessee PGA, are dear friends of mine, and we work together a lot and make decisions as to what's best for the game moving forward, and it works.
I'm sure there's a group of people that some time ago that had the vision to set it up this way. Who are some of those folks? Yeah,
so the foundation ultimately was sort of the brainchild of Dick Horton and Jack Lupton, who founded the Honors Course, and trying to find a way to make the amateur body and professional body work together. They figured out that way to do that was to have a foundation that could be in the middle of it and create this collaborative culture that exists today, and something that really is the bedrock of what we do is that collaborative nature between the three. And then Mr. Horton actually ran all three organizations for a long, long time, and ultimately ran the foundation for nearly 40 years. Until he retired in 2018. But there were some very smart people a long time ago that came up with this concept.
I go back to 1986 with Dick Horton, and have known Dick that long, and there was I mean, whatever lifetime achievement award he could ever get, it would be the most deserving guy ever. And he went into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, what, last year or year before?
Yeah, it's been a couple years ago, yeah.
And which, by the way, Brad Willis is going to be with us in the middle of May to talk about this year's class. But you know, in the 80s, you know, I had got the feeling in my conversations with Dick that there were a lot of times when he was kind of a one-man band and kept things going. And fortunately, as time went along, more resources it came along to help him out.
Yeah, he tells a story about when he started the whole thing in the group that tried to put it all together, brought him in. And he's from New York originally, and he came down here and was talking to him about taking this job. And I'll get this story wrong, but essentially it comes down to, they said, we're going to pay you this, and it's a part-time job, or if you raise this, then it's a full-time job. But that's the only way it's going to be full-time is if he could go out and raise his own salary, which he did for a long time, and really provide the support, you know, to the amateur body and the professional body, and get the foundation in a point to where it is now. We have a, you know, $16+ million endowment. You know, a balance sheet that's over $22 million, and it's a big, robust foundation that, you know, makes sure that the costs of playing, get involved in the game, we can pass as little of that as possible on to the kid, which is how, you know, you make the game affordable and accessible and more inclusive to those who and otherwise wouldn't get a chance to do it.
Yeah, the in everything that I've ever, when dealing, you know, talking to you about what you do, and it's all about growth of the game, in particular at young levels, and to be able to get more kids involved. And, you know, and we see here in town with Bloomfield Links and just things like that. But the SNEDS tours, the little course, so much of that, seeds have been planted for a long time, and you're starting to see the fruition of some of that growth.
Yeah, you know, 40,000 kids will be impacted by our program in some way
this year.
Wow! And whether that's through programming, it may be inside their elementary school, where our instructors go into these elementary school and see thousands of kids, you know, a week, and introducing them to the game. You mentioned Bloomfield Links. You know, Kids Play Free is one of my favorite areas of programming that we have, and that was really an idea that Scott Stallings, a PGA Tour player, had, and really he is something that he's poured a lot of his time and effort and money into. We started it here. It started in Knoxville at Concord and Beverly Park years ago. First year they did it, they played a couple hundred rounds, free rounds through those two golf courses, and this year there are 6 or 7 golf courses across the state that do it, and we'll play probably between 11 and 12,000 free rounds of golf for these kids this year, including here at Bloomfield Links. And so Shane McFarland, the mayor of Murfreesboro, his honor, got involved, and we created a tournament that we have every year at Stones River called the Mayor's Invitational, where we raise money to make sure that you know, we can provide these free rounds of golf for these kids at Bloomfield Links. And they've played thousands and thousands of rounds of golf out there, absolutely free. And Bloomfield was really a cool idea that you know, an old friend of ours, Tracy Wilkins, had years ago to really provide a place where the kids that want to get started could learn to play before they go over to the big course at Old Fort, right? You know, because you put a kid, it's like, I've been talking with my son about, he's getting ready to go to middle school, and all of a sudden, you know, playing baseball, he's going to go to 90-foot bases in a big, long field, and it's intimidating, right? And you think, well, man, I'll never be able to do this. And the same thing's the case with golf. You put a kid on this big golf course where the flag is way out there, and it looks like it's difficult to do. But, you know, if a kid learns to play in an appropriate setting, like Bloomfield Links, where, you know, they can hit shots and short shots and things like that, and learn to play the game and learn the rules and the etiquette of the game, and then transition them into a bigger golf course, it goes much better that way. So Tracy Wilkins impacted the game around here in a big way for a long time. He and Marty McCurry and all those guys at Old Fort for years had some great ideas, and still impacting the game today. But Shane and John Floyd have really been the driving force behind Kids Play Free here locally. But that is a significant area of programming that impacts the game in a big way. You mentioned the SNEDS Tour. I mean, the SNEDS Tour personally impacted me when I was 11 years old. I tell the story all the time. Randy Helton came out of the golf shop at Riverbend, and he handed me this flyer that said that they were starting a junior tour in Tennessee, and there were 6 or 8 events that year that it started. Mr. Horton started this junior tour, so this would have been somewhere in the late 80s, early 89, 90, somewhere right in there. Just dated myself.
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah, and so I remember taking it home and talking to my mom and dad, and the entry fees were like $20 an event or whatever, and they're like, it's a lot of money, Whit, whatever, which certainly I can understand that. But anyway, we did it. I played 6 or 8 of those, how many they were that year, and that tour grew from 6 or 8 to 10 to 12 to 20. On that junior tour is where the first time I laid eyes on Johnny Moore, who later I went to MTSU to play for, then I worked for, and I still talk to today. So to say that junior tour impacted my life is as a fact. And that junior tour that started with 6 or 8 events back in the late 80s, this year we'll play 212 events.
Wow.
This year on that tour with 2,000 kids statewide. We'll have kids that are members of that tour from 10 different states.
Really? Yeah. So there will be kids coming in from other states to play in that.
Absolutely. It's such an affordable way to put your kid in a competitive golf environment. We'll have kids from 10 to 12 different states. We'll actually play events in 5 different states. We'll play close to a dozen in Mississippi. It's becoming more and more of a regional footprint, just simply because of what it delivers and the cost at which it delivers it. Because, again, I don't have to pass the cost of all this on to the kids that sign up for the events, because the people who support what we do and are a part of what we do make sure that we don't have to do that. So that's why the entry fees are what they are. The golf courses that host these things are incredibly supportive of the mission of the foundation. And Brant, certainly having Brant's name on it is a big deal.
Talk about how he got involved and what his impact has been, because he's a local guy, Nashville, grew up, local boy makes good.
Yeah.
And you have so much respect when those guys who go out and have success remember where they came from.
Yeah, and Brant went through the same tour. He and I are close to the same age. I'm a couple years older than he is, but we played around what was the Northern Telecom Junior PGA Tour. It's amazing. I still remember the name of it. But, as kids, right? And Ron, so he came through the programming himself, right? He went to golf camp. He came through the junior tours. And then, roll it forward years later, and he's, standing at Eastlake as the FedEx Cup champion, having grown up playing his golf at Shelby Park in East Nashville, which we currently have under renovation. I mean, again, the tentacles of this thing, just like it was for me, for Sneds, was impactful in his life, and he never forgot that. And he and his lovely wife, Mandy, are staunch supporters of what we do, and not just from afar, hands-on supporters of what we do, not only with the tour that bears his name, but we own and operate a Corn Ferry event, the Simmons Bank Open, that benefits he and Mandy's family foundation. So they are intricately involved in everything that we do. Wonderful people that we don't get to see enough, but they are huge supporters of what we do and wonderful people, and we're fortunate to have them around.
Let's say somebody's out here listening today. They've got a young child who, has a golf club out in the backyard, and they see a little promise there and want to get involved. What are the very, very basic steps with a kid? What does mom and dad need to do to get them involved in an organized way in the game of golf?
Yeah, there's several areas. I mean, there's a great first tee program there in Smyrna at the Smyrna Municipal Golf Course. Obviously, you have Bloomfield Links and Emily Miller and all the work she's doing at Old Fort and through those kids, the summer programming, and kids play free out there. All the golf courses around here, from Indian Hills, Matt Walters is out there, to Champions Run, Ray Pierce, those guys out there, and Steve and those guys doing a wonderful job helping us grow the game. They host all sorts of stuff. Cedar Crest has activity going on. All the golf courses around here, even all the way to Stones River Country Club, huge junior programs at Stones River for their membership. But I would say, if there's some promise there and you feel like the kid, is interested and wants to learn more about the game, find an instructor around here that can help put you in some early programming. They do all sorts of programmings that are really around what we call the building blocks of learning the game, whether they're just getting started at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, or they're just picking it up at 12. There's an entry point for them, and they can find those here around. And that's why, I go back to the three-legged stool in the Tennessee PGA. Those golf professionals that are at these courses around here are the lifeblood of what we do. That's where it all begins. When they get a chance to stand with this young man or young lady and help them, put some ideas together on whether it's their swing or how to play the game and things like that. But they can do it at a very basic level, or even at Golf House. I mean, if you want to make the 45-minute ride to Golf House, we'll have 500 welcome to golf classes this year at Golf House itself, with kids from 3 to 7 years old that have never touched a club, and they're hitting tennis balls and volleyballs with plastic clubs, right? Just learn to swing and hit something. It's a great way to get involved in the game and really ignite that passion. And I would tell them too, if your kid's interested, some of the most impactful things I remember in my childhood were certainly my dad took me to the Masters when I was 10, 11 years old. I'll never forget that. But what I'll never forget is seeing the best in the world do it and the inspiration that provides. And so, there's opportunities here, whether it's the Simmons Bank Open in September, Live Golf is coming to the Grove in June. You're going to have some of the best players in the world here in Middle Tennessee throughout the year. Buy a ticket and go watch those guys play golf. That can provide some inspiration to your kid that can see it done at the highest level. Is helpful too. But just reach out to one of our PGA professionals here locally, then they can get you pointed in the right direction in some really affordable programming.
Also, your website is
tngolf.org. You'll find the Tennessee Golf Association there, the Tennessee PGA. You'll find the foundation. Every single piece of programming that we do statewide is listed on that website there in some way. You can get in touch, whether you're here, Bristol, Memphis. You can find a way to get involved in the game.
If you're here in Rutherford County, walk into the pro shop out at
That's right.
out at Old Fort or up at Smyrna, and those guys are going to put you in the right direction right there. They're going to be there helpful and be ready to help you out. So
that's right.
All right, we're going to take a break. Whit Turnbow is our guest today. We're talking golf in the state of Tennessee, and we'll have more here on the Roundtable right after this. Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates.
Some people drive past Middle Point Landfill and see a mound of dirt covering yesterday's garbage, but we don't see that. At Middle Point, we see yesterday's trash as tomorrow's opportunity. We see an opportunity to convert naturally occurring gas into a low-carbon alternative to fossil fuel. We're Middle Point Landfill, and we see so much more than waste. Middle Point's vision doesn't end at the start of our driveway. We're Middle Point Landfill, and we truly see a brighter future for all of us in Rutherford County.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how. Learn now. Let Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Del's team live in Chattanooga 2 days only at the Marriott downtown Saturday and Sunday, May 4th and 5th. Register now at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Enter promo code 2024 for a special discount offer. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Code 2024.
We're visiting with Jennifer Sanchez, manager of Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift at 1007 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
You're not just walking into just a big warehouse. You're walking into rooms. We've got a media room. We've got a boutique room. We've got a vintage room, a furniture area, kitchen, all that.
Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift.
Every day you go in there, I promise you it's changing.
Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift, 1007 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Online at steeredstraightthriftstore.org.
There's so many things that you can do at Adams Place. My name is Carrie Shannon. I probably spend more time in the library or reading a book and that kind of thing. And I've never seen anything as good as Adams Place. And you feel like you're in a beautiful hotel and a very nice library. It's just a really beautiful place.
I'm Terry Deal. Call me about Adams Place. Phone 615-904-9111. Memorial Boulevard, across from Walmart.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
When a family member is lost as a result of someone else's negligence, the grief can be unbearable. It also leaves you with a lot of questions like, how did this happen? Who's responsible? And is my family going to be okay? That's a lot to go through, but with the law offices of John Day on your side, you don't have to go through any of it alone. We understand what you're going through, and we have the experience to get the answers, justice, and compensation your family deserves. Call the law offices of John Day.
For over 77 years, you've depended on WGNS to let you know what's happening here at home, and you still can. Give the gift of life at our local Red Cross. It's at 501 Memorial Boulevard here in Murfreesboro. Make an appointment at a time that fits your schedule. Call them now at 800-RED-CROSS. Maybe you're new to town and would like to learn more about the community. The Rutherford County Historical Society invites you to Ransom School from 9 to noon this Saturday. They'll be talking about history, and you'll be enjoying coffee and donuts. It's all free. And Ransom School is at 717 North Academy Street. This Saturday is Drug Take Back Day. You can take drugs back to all of the police agencies in our community. That's this Saturday. And of course, the Sheriff's Office, as well as Murfreesboro Police, they take back drugs every day throughout the year.
For more Good Neighbor events, check our website, WGNSradio.com.
Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
Skies become mostly sunny this afternoon, a high in the mid-70s. And for tonight, mostly clear, low near 45. Thursday, sunshine, high of 77 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 60.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits, assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable, and this Wednesday, a couple of highlights coming up in the next few weeks. 2 weeks from today, Demetria Kalodimos will be my guest, and we'll be talking about the Nashville Banner, the rebirth of the Banner, and also her terrific career at Channel 4. Brad Willis will be here in about 3 or 4 weeks from now. He has been an annual guest talking about the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and today we're talking golf in Tennessee. The Tennessee Golf Foundation President Whit Turnbow is here. A couple of little ticklers you put out there earlier wanted to touch on in a minute, but this is the time of year when golf kind of gets in the forefront of everybody's mind because obviously, you know, you spend a couple of 3 weeks watching the NCAA tournament and every Masters promo that could be on TV, and you hear the piano music.
Makes you want to go play golf.
It makes you want to go play golf. And obviously there's always a huge uptick. But speaking of the Masters, have we seen an absolute changing of the guard with Scottie Scheffler? Because there's nobody close to him. When you break down his game of whether it's his iron shots or whether it's off the tee, nobody is close to him when you put the whole package together.
Yeah, we definitely just walked into the Scottie Scheffler era, right?
Yeah.
And he is as dominant as we've seen in a long time. And I read something the other day that the gap between him and whoever's number 2 in the world, Rory maybe, anyway, whoever it is number 2, the gap between he and that person is 3 times the size of the gap between number 2 and like number 100. So like he's way, way, way out in front. I would say we've entered the Scotty Scheffler era, and we'll see. Again, what's the longevity look like? He's a fabulous representative of the game.
Well, I was going to say that not only what you see on the golf course, but it seems like that his whole persona, his outlook, his mental focus on what he's doing and being grounded all at the same time.
Yeah.
He's in a great position to go for a long time.
He is. His outlook and where he prioritizes, who he is versus what he does for a living, and which he spoke at length about. He's a great representative of the game, and he's young. He's got plenty of time out in front of him. He's now close to being a new father. So
have they not had that baby yet?
I don't think so. I know a whole lot of people, friends of mine, that were hoping it didn't show up on Sunday because they needed him to get across the finish line, which he did. But that'll change some things, right? It's just that changes a lot. But he is in position to be dominant for quite some time, and to do it in his own way. He's got a lot going on when he swings the club, and his feet are all over the place. The golf ball is left, but he does it sort of his own way, and heaven forbid somebody ever try to change that, or I'm glad nobody tried to change that. And it just shows that this thing can be done a lot of different ways. And but yes, we've entered the era of dominance for Scotty Scheffler. People, you just don't win. It's hard enough to win back to back, and then to win 2 or 3 in a row here now. And as good as that is, you look over on the women's side, and Nelly Korda's won 5 in a row now, I think. It's incredible how dominant she is, how dominant Scotty is. She's far more dominant on the LPGA Tour than he is now. But we're definitely in that Scotty Scheffler era. But the game, is fractured to some extent still, and working through some of that. So, I look forward to the day when, they put all the best players in the world back on the same stage more often. We see it 3-4 times a year now, at the majors really. But we need to get back to having all the players on the same stage as often as possible. That's what's best for the game. It's affecting TV viewership. It's affecting a lot of stuff. But nevertheless, had all those guys been in Augusta or been at the RBC or wherever, Scotty Scheffler would have cleaned him up regardless.
Well, as impressive as winning the Masters is for anybody, to me, in the amount of attention and as many different directions as you're being dragged after winning the Masters, to me, the most impressive thing is how he came back at the RBC the next week.
Yeah, just so many times.
Cleaned house.
Yeah, he cleaned them up again, and so many times, the guys that win the Masters, obviously it's a life-changing occurrence, and there's a lot of things going on Sunday night and Monday and Tuesday that he's having to deal with. And a lot of times you'll see those guys, bow out of the RBC, but now it is one of the PGA Tour's signature elevated events. He won $3.5 million the other day, right? It's a real thing. It's not just the week after the Masters anymore. So you saw a bunch of those guys go straight from Augusta and play. But to deal with all that and all the things happening on Sunday and all the things he's got going on home, and you heard him say in his press conference after he won, they were asking him all these questions, and he was saying, I just want to go home. I'm just trying to sit here and answer these questions so I can get on an airplane and go home. Knowing he wanted to go home that badly, then to show back up at the RBC on Wednesday or whenever he showed up and get himself ready in 24 hours and then go out and just blister the field again, just shows you the level at which he's, and it's the confidence that he has right now to go out and play golf at a high level. And I'll get this wrong too, but it was on Sunday during the Masters coverage, they were saying that he had not, maybe Trevor Immelman said it, he had played 70 some odd rounds and not shot over 70 going into that day. It was incredible. It's incredible. The day before on Saturday, whatever, he shot 70, 71, 72, 73, something like that. And they said that's first round the 70 shot in forever. And then to go out with a 1-shot lead and make 7 birdies on Sunday at the Masters is really impressive under that condition. But yeah, he's world number 1 by a long shot, and whether you had to live guys in there or not would not have mattered. They certainly would have it would have been certainly a stronger field. But he's the world's best player by a long shot right now.
Quick note on the women's tour, you mentioned the dominance that's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an opportunity because this, I think 2024, can be categorized as the year of women's sports because, and you've had lightning in a bottle with Caitlin Clark at Iowa. Is this the opportunity that whether it's the WNBA, whether it's the LPGA Tour, some of those can grab onto some coattails and where, the rising tide lifts all ships.
No question about it. And we're seeing that on the golf side already.
Right.
With the girls golf and the LPGA golf and things like that, we're seeing that impact already just at the beginning level, the girls getting involved in the game. On the ladies side, typically, especially at a young age, it needs to be far more social. They need a buddy or 2 or 3 that like to play as well or want to go to the clinic with them. You don't see them show up by themselves very often. So providing that little more social setting is good on the ladies' side, especially starting out. But we're definitely seeing the numbers tick up on the girls' side of the game, especially early on. But you're right. I mean, everything that's happening in women's sports, from Caitlin Clark to, the Korda sisters and the dominance that's going on the LPGA Tour right now, all that's going to shine a light, as it should be, on the women's side of all these things. And, you and I, having been around the university as long as we have and seeing, basically the entire Insel family grinding on growing the game of women's basketball for 30-ish years now, all the way down the grassroots AAU level and pushing to shine a positive light on girls basketball, women's basketball. You and I have experienced some of that, and I've seen those guys for a long time pushing into trying to shine a great light on that game. And now to see Caitlin Clark come along and really put a crown on all of that and put a massive light on the game. And I read about her Nike contract yesterday and all that sort of stuff. And sports becoming cool again to the ladies, whether it's basketball or golf or softball or whatever the case may be. Definitely gonna shift interest, into some of the sports world that sometimes can be very intimidating for a young lady trying to get started. So yeah, that's something that we certainly keep a close eye on and try to answer that call that we're getting and make sure that there's plenty of opportunities for the young ladies to get involved in golf for sure.
Well, when I was making some notes, getting ready for today, and put down notes about kids play free, Tennessee Junior, the Junior Cup, SNEDS Tour. Then there's the Girls Golf League.
Yep.
What to tell folks what about that and how young ladies can get involved?
Yeah, so you'll find those that, again, as I go back to a lot of these public facilities in our area, you'll find some girls golf leagues. Emily Miller at Old Fort has a fabulous girls golf league, and then PGA Junior League is another opportunity for the girls to get involved in, and it's a bit of a team atmosphere. It's not out there all by my lonesome and trying to figure it out myself. There's a social piece to that, which again is helpful on the lady side of things early on, trying to get started. So they'll all have beginning golf. They'll all have ladies and girls golf leagues and things like that. We have several of them at Golf House on a weekly basis. LPGA girls golf leagues. They're all great entry points for your daughter to get involved and try to learn to play the game. And then there's certainly, even on the SNEDS Tour, if that young lady decides, she wants to try the competitive piece of this, starting out, we let parents caddy for them, so mom or dad can go out and caddy for them, which again is a nice entry point in the game because you got somebody familiar with you. You throw your kid out there and tell him good luck, and you see him on the 9th green. Again, is very intimidating, just like those 90-foot bases and that long fence. But having mom or dad there with you that caddy most of the time. Now, we do have some parents that mess that up, as you can imagine, in youth sports. Yeah, the parents can foul up a lot. But having mom or dad there caddying with you sometimes is a great way to get into that too. And we allow that on the SNEDS Tour at an early age. so that there's some comfort level there and try to get them going. But tons of opportunities here in Murfreesboro for the young men and the young ladies to get involved.
Well, one other guy before we take our next break who deserves credit for, again, shining a light on youth golf with his persona, his visibility, was Vince Gill. With the Vinny, and he has meant an awful lot because he was one of the guys when the LPGA Tour came to Hermitage back 35 years ago, that he was all in and was a big supporter there and made it cool. As Vince, anytime Vince jumps into something, he makes it cool.
It's cool.
So
yeah, Vince has been a long time supporter of everything that we've done, all the way back to, we did 17 Vinnies, I think, Chip. He raised upwards of $10 million to support the game in Tennessee. Not to mention the numerous, celebrity things he did and the pick and grins, the things that he came out and did and sung around. He's had a tremendous impact on this game and still does today. And I had the pleasure of taking him out to California a few years ago to accept an award on behalf of the Golf Course Superintendents Association, which is their highest civilian honor, if you will, for a guy impacting the game. And so his legacy in the game will live on for a long, long time. Vince will tell you if he was sitting here, as busy as he is these days in sort of this rebirth of, his second career now with the Eagles, that his clubs are with him all the time. And if there's a break in between wherever they are in the world, and there's a golf course nearby, he's going. And it is a vital, a huge part of his own life. And his granddad and dad taught him how to play and do that. And he wants nothing more than to pass that on to the next generation. And he chooses to do that with his time and his talents.
All right, the hour's rolling by with Whit Turnbow. We're talking golf. You can check out their website, tngolf.org. Final segment coming up with Whit Turnbow after this on the Wednesday Roundtable on WGNS.
Finding that missing shin guard, remembering whether it's a home or away game, getting the right kid to the right playing field on the right day. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. We work with independent agents who keep insurance simple so you can worry about more important things, like not being that fan.
Oh, come on, ref!
That's simple human sense.
Rayburn Insurance in Smyrna.
Come see me, Rick Hall, at Rayburn Insurance in downtown Smyrna today.
Does your home need freshening up? Let our family at Farrah Construction help you. We do painting, new flooring, anything that you need. If you can dream it, Farrah Construction can turn it into reality. Farrah Construction offers high-quality craftsmanship, quick response, and attention to detail. For home restoration at a price you can afford, Farrah Construction can get the job done no matter how big or small it is. I'm Ron Hall. Shop local. Let our family business help you. Farrah Construction Company.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
Spring has sprung, and that means it's time to start planning for your summer road trips. With Bud's Tire Pros by your side, your vehicle will be ready to see the mountains, the beaches, and everything in between. With Bud's Tire Pros' full line of Michelin tires and products, you'll have the peace of mind to hit the road no matter what you drive. Bud's Tire Pros is only 3.5 miles from the Murfreesboro Square. Call Bud's Tire Pros at 896-TIRE or online, Bud's Tire Pros, TN.com.
Hey, bargain hunters, listen up. This is Rodney French from French's Shoes and Boots. If bargain prizes is what you want, come to French's and shop our everyday bargain racks. These shoes and boots are out of the boxes and are always 50 to 90% off the regular retail prices. Shoe brands like Cole Haan, Joseph Seibel, Clark's, Nike, and more. Boot brands like Justin, Ariat, Corral, Chippewa, Dan Post, and many more. Out of the box, but 50 to 90% off every day. That's French's Shoes and Boots.
French's Shoes and Boots.
1837 South Church Street in Murfreesboro.
Hi, this is Bob Cornell, pastor of Covenant Church right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
The answer that you've been looking for is found in Jesus and what he accomplished at the cross. You see, Jesus changes lives from the inside out. We would love for you to join us at Covenant Church, located at 1124 Brinkley Ave, right here in Murfreesboro. We have services Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. You can learn more about us at our Cornell Ministries YouTube channel. We want you to grow in Christ at Covenant Church.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Wednesday Roundtable on WGNS, and we're talking golf with Whit Turnbow, the president of the Tennessee Golf Foundation. And earlier on, you talked about having the best players of the world playing on the same stage at the same time. And there is a Live Tour event coming up at the Grove over in Arrington this summer. I mean, through all of this, I mean, there's been, a lot of accusations and hurt feelings and all of that. There's been more dividing than coming together, and of course, the big factor in there has been the dollar sign. And so, how does this get worked out, and how do they get back together?
Yeah, it's the $1 million question these days.
Multi-million
dollar question these days. And having walked through it intimately with not only the PGA Tour and their representatives and PGA Tour players that are close to what we do and that I consider friends and talk to a lot. And then, the Live Tour, coming to town, which has been, in our queue since probably Thanksgiving of last year. So I've seen it at a very high level for a while, and I've heard all the arguments. I've heard all the that you can hear circulating it then through our foundation board and all really the people who make a lot of things certainly here in Tennessee go. The game, the PGA Tour has certainly learned some things by Live being around, from a product standpoint, from a excitement and just the way again they certainly would not agree with everything that Live does as far as their product and the way they run their tour. However, I can tell you that they've learned some things from how they do what they do. We were talking about this during the break, but the game is asking for a more social, faster way to play, and that's essentially what Live is doing. They're playing 54-hole events. It's a shotgun start every day, so it's not a 12-hour day. If you want to go watch, the shotgun starts at 1 o'clock. You're there for 5 hours. You see 30, 40, 50 of the best players in the world, including some of the greatest to ever do it, in that 4 or 5 hour span. And then they have a concert, and with a grounds pass, you walk over there and watch whomever it is doing this concert. They created a very welcoming social environment to watch the best in the world play golf. And the PGA Tour has done that for a long, long time. But I think they're learning some things with Live's product. The PGA Tour will always be the standard, and they will always be they will always be the greatest golf tour in the world. They're going to put this thing together somehow, some way. Ultimately, the players will be the biggest beneficiary of this, and rightfully so, because without players, there is no PGA Tour. Without those personalities and those characters, there is no PGA Tour. And the PGA Tour, in my opinion, has got to be just like every other sport. You develop characters inside these things. I'm not saying it's the WWE, but I mean the WWE is great at developing a script and developing
heroes
characters.
And heels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when before Live came around, you had the Spieths and the Koepkas and all these guys, and you had old Patrick Reed over here who was the heel, than these guys, and they played in that. They weren't playing a character; it just develops that way.
DeChambeau is the heel now.
DeChambeau kind of became the heel,
Yeah.
and now he almost wins the Masters, and here we go, and now you got all these live guys that have presumably become the heel on the PGA Tour side of things, and so when they put it all back together, some of that will still exist.
Well, and that could be a good thing, because I think about
Yes.
when we were growing up, we had, the Lee Trevinos, the Fuzzy Zellers, the Chichi Rodriguez, all the great personalities. And then you had, you had Nicklaus and Palmer and all those guys. And to me, as the casual observer, I think we went through a period of where all the personality got washed out. And there was a lot of cookie cutters. Now you're starting to see some, and then Tiger came along.
Yes.
And that kind of reignited some personality back into the game.
It did, and it needed it. And it needs it now, right? And there's some really good people out there doing that. But it does need some personality and some characters in it, right? And I think that's what
Loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, this thing is going to involve. People want to see kind of behind the curtain and kind of what's going on. But ultimately, PGA Tour Enterprises, which is what is being created, a for-profit enterprise, and now its infusion with Fenway Sports and the capital that they all brought to the table, and Arthur Blank and that whole conglomerate, and then potentially what the Public Investment Fund out of Saudi Arabia brings to the table. You're talking about $7, $8, $9, $10 billion infusion into PGA Tour Enterprises, and purses going skyrocketing. Things going up, certainly, and from my chair, it's a very polarizing thing. You walk down the street and that's one guy one thing, hates live, hates this, so that's another guy loves it. It's a very polarizing thing. I've heard every
And if you
piece
say
of it.
if you say, I like live, then you're
an anti-PGA Tour guy, which is not the case, right? And that's where it got difficult in my chair. To really, because I get asked almost daily about live and this whole thing. And from my chair, and I've said this a lot, and I'll stand on this, but, I go back to what we were talking about earlier. The inspiration for another generation happens in a lot of ways. I talked about my dad taking me to the Masters a long time ago. I'll never forget that. And watching Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and these guys do that at an incredible level. I took my own son to the Masters last year, and he stood from me to you from Tiger Woods when he could hardly walk. But he never took his eyes off Tiger Woods. I mean, it was like seeing, the Michael Jordan of our time. But he drew inspiration from that. I could see it in his face. And so having Phil Mickelson and having Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson and Cameron Smith and these guys come to Middle Tennessee, and having a wealth of kids that play golf and don't play golf that are going to go out there and watch these guys play golf and then go home and go, hey, I want a set of golf clubs for Christmas, or whatever the case may be. That's a wonderful thing as far as growing the game is concerned. Now, I say that. I'll get an email today from somebody who's like, I can't believe you said that. But that is the truth, right?
Yeah.
Having those guys around to inspire another generation to play is a good thing, and it helps grow the game. Even I don't agree with everything in the way Liv has gone about their journey, right? They certainly made some mistakes. And I am a very pro PGA Tour guy, because we operate, one of their events on the Corn Ferry Tour. We love that. It benefits our community in a big way. But at the same time, I have to view this thing through the lens of what's good for the game, and having the best in the world, whether they're playing the Live Tour, the Corn Ferry Tour, the Champions Tour, the LPGA Tour, whatever tour that is, they come to our area. That's good for the game, because it will inspire another generation to go get involved. And so I'm looking forward to having those guys here and be a part of that in whatever way we deem necessary, to make sure that as many kids as possible get a chance to go out and watch those guys play golf.
You mentioned the social aspect, how Liv goes out, they play a shotgun start, and then have a concert after. If you don't think people like the social aspect of golf, don't watch the Waste Management Open out in Arizona,
Right.
and how much fun they have there. One of the things, where do you see public golf going? Because, again, as fast as everybody's life is today, dedicating 4 to 5 hours to go play 18 holes of golf in the middle of the day is hard to do. So put on your visionary cap. Where are we from a public golf standpoint 5 years, 10 years down the road? And I'm asking this because we had a little conversation during the break, but there's some really out of the box thoughts of where the game of golf and in a public way is going.
Yeah, we need more. You can call any of the golf courses, and there's some fabulous public facilities around here that we named, but we don't have enough. And in Williamson County, it's worse. There's just not enough. Got some fabulous facilities from Franklin Bridge to Cheekwood to the little course, but that's it. Public golf in Williamson County, that's all. And you can call anywhere you want around here. Matter of fact, you remember Zach Houston? Zach called me the other day. He's bringing some people to town to play golf, and he can't get a tee time anywhere. Calling all these public facilities, and now he's worked his way out to Dixon maybe to get a tee time at Greystone, right? You just can't get a tee time. And so we need more of this, because what happened in COVID obviously, gave golf a kickstart. It was already growing, and it just sort of lit this fire under it now that's not going away, because COVID changed the way corporate America views their time and how it's spent, right? So now we don't have to get on that jet and go to that meeting. We do it over Zoom. Now we don't have to go to the office 8 hours a day. We can do a lot from home. And so that created time. And when there created time, these guys and ladies and their kids were looking for things to do at that time that was safe, and they found out that golf was really safe. It was outside. I don't have to touch anybody. I got my own equipment. They can put a pool noodle in the hole. I don't even have to take the flag out. I don't have to touch anything. And all of a sudden, all these people were flooded to the game. And during COVID, while everything was pretty well shut down, and the metro parks were literally that, parks, and you could play the golf courses for free, just had to go line up. I rode out there one day to Harpeth Hills to see kind of what this looked like. And sure enough, they're lined up 40 deep on the first tee at Harpeth Hills waiting to go to the first tee. And I noticed a man there probably in his early 40s, and he had his golf clubs that I could tell he had just dusted the cobwebs off of them out of the garage, and he put them on a dolly that you would move furniture with, and strapped them down with bungee cords, and was standing there waiting to go to the first tee at Harpeth Hills. So I knew then that this is a different thing than what we saw in Tiger's era, when there was this huge boom of kids playing golf. And you saw it go for a long time, then it declined down, and now here we are on this team. This one's not going away. This one's here to stay, and so we need to go meet the demand for public golf. And to your point, there's not a need necessarily for big 7,000-yard public golf courses, but there is a huge need for 3 and 6 and 9 and 11 hole golf courses that provide an excellent experience, where you can go get a drink or a hamburger,
play a little par 3 course.
A little par 3. I mean, there is a massive need for those, and those will do exceptionally well, especially if you light them up. And that's one of the things I know the city has planned for Bloomfield down the road, is potentially put some lights on it. Would be off the charts good. And so if anybody's listening and has got 50 acres that they don't want to, that they want to really impact what's going on, this generation is asking for the right things. They're asking.
First of all, call me. I'll help you sell it.
Chip, choose Chip. This generation is asking, why do I have to tuck my shirt tail in? Why can't I turn my hat around backwards? Why can't I play some music while I do this? Why does it take 5 hours? Why can't I wear my Jordans? And all those are great questions, and there has to be a place for that, and there should be a place for that, because again, and I grew up in the traditional era where your shirt tails in, there's no music, you take your hat off when you go in the clubhouse, and I actually enjoy that. But I also enjoy going out with my son and untucking my shirt tail and going out and hopping in the cart and playing 3, 4, 5 holes with him, and that's it. It takes an hour, and that's all he wants to do. And that's a hard place to find, right? That's a hard spot unless you're a member of the country club and you can, go out late in the evening and play 4 or 5 holes in a cart and come back. That's about the only spot you have to go do that. So now you have Bloomfield here, right? Where if he and I want to go play 6 holes in an hour and a half or less, we go out there, buzz around, piece of cake. We need more of that. We need more 3, 6, 9, 11 hole golf courses. that are lit, that are fun, that are not hard, that are in great condition. It's not a big area to take care of. The game needs more of that. And so we're pushing into different areas, and we talk to people all the time that are trying to find ways to build these more social golf experiences. And you're seeing them pop up even on what we'll call
Top Golf
the
is
top golf level, right?
And whatever Tiger's version of that is.
You've seen it spin off into Pop Stroke, now TGL, Tiger and Rory's deal, which is going to be, TGL is going to be like simulator golf inside an arena, which will be very, very cool.
When you see like Tennessee Golf Station here, even the simulators in Happy's right down the street, they're full all the time.
They're full all the time, and we're actually trying to find ways to tap into the simulator side of things, because I think there's a way that whether it's through TrackMan or one of the operators, that we can tie all these things together and have a tournament, even have a fundraising tournament where you can go to Happy's, you can go to TN Golf Station, you can go wherever you want to go. They have a simulator, and you and three of your buddies can pay $25 a head, and you can play in a virtual fundraiser for the Tennessee Golf Foundation, and that thing may last 60 days. So you got all kinds of time that you can go do this. It's not like you have to be at this place at this time on this date, and if it rains, so be it. You can go do this anytime you want in a 60-day span and participate in this virtual golf fundraiser. But you're seeing Topgolf spin off into several different things. Topgolf was a huge,
and again, the social aspect of that has helped blow it up, because women are out there hitting golf balls in heels, and guys take off their jacket, may still have their tie on from the office, and they're hitting golf balls out there. But
it's a good thing for the game.
Absolutely. tngolf.org, and especially moms and dads, if you want to get your kids involved in the game, that is a very good first stop to find out all of the things. And there is a ton out there available, and I hope that during this hour we help to shine some light on that.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great way to start. And if that doesn't work, any of the PGA professionals in your local area can help steer you in the right direction into a beginner's class or wherever your kid may be. There's an entry point for them, and these opportunities to go and tell the story of what we do and what's been done is the way the game continues to grow. So thank you to you guys for allowing us to do it, and we'll come back anytime.
All right. Thank you, Whitney.
Pleasure, bud.
All right. That is it for today. Brian Barrett is coming up next. Don't forget, if you missed any of this, you can find it shortly on the podcast section of WGNSradio.com. It's a beautiful day here in Murfreesboro. Go out and enjoy it.